Cole Bartiromo here with NewsBall.com. I just left the Dr. Phil show in Los Angeles. We filmed the Skylar Neese murder story. I'm driving out of Los Angeles, headed back to Orange County, while everybody else is getting flights home to Morgantown, West Virginia tonight and tomorrow. I met Dave and Mary Neese. I shook their hands. Dave told me how he would check out NewsBall.com, and there was nothing ever about him, so he was happy with that. And he would have loved to have been able to name Sheila Eddy way back when, but he was told he couldn't. He wasn't allowed to. I also met and took a picture with Daylene Berry, the author of Savage Murder of Skylar Neese. Chrissy Swanson, Sheila Eddy's cousin, and Shania Ammons, Skylar Neese's friend half the time, and Sheila Eddy's friend, off and on. Looked at me from a distance. We didn't actually meet and greet. And I'm doing this vlog because there were things I wanted to say that I didn't get to say in my segment. I think my role is going to be lessened in the final cut. So really, I just wanted to give my final insight on the case. The show was really all about providing the Neeses some answers. Everyone was giving their input onto just trying to leave the Neeses with some sort of answer so they could come to grips with why their daughter died, because the killers offered nothing. We didn't want to be her friend anymore. So anyways, our conclusions are this. On one hand, Sheila Eddy had an amazing bond and relationship with Skylar. The homemade video footage that NewsBall obtained and provided to Dr. Phil's show shows how cool and how good they are together. They had been best friends for years. So that's hard to ignore that bond and to say Sheila was the mastermind. On the other hand, the lies and deceit that Sheila Eddy carried on with to the Neeses, pretending to be looking for Skylar, consoling Skylar's parents, the things she would post on Facebook and Twitter about missing Skylar, come home, that's hard to get past. And then you start leaning, okay, well, she is the mastermind. But in our new interview that we just published with Rachel Schoaf's former best friend from childhood up until high school, when Sheila Eddy took over that role of best friend to Rachel, we've confirmed that Natasha Wyrick is a lesbian, and that Patricia Schoaf, Rachel's mother, didn't approve of Natasha because of her sexual orientation. And we all know now, with other sources that have come into NewsBall, that there was a lesbian relationship between Sheila and Rachel. And one of our sources, very close to Sheila Eddy, has stated in our audio that we've posted that there is a sex tape and or photos in evidence, and that Skylar Neese was the one to take those photos or film that video. So given that, and knowing that Rachel Schoaf is from a very religious background, she went off the church camp in the days after Skylar was killed by her. You can start to see a motive as to Rachel Schoaf needing to protect that secret. There was obviously a falling out and or arguments going on between the three of them. Skylar Neese's last tweets said, "Stress will be the death of me, and this is why I can never trust you." So at some point, possibly, Rachel Schoaf decided that Skylar Neese was expendable, that Skylar knew these secrets about her bisexual relationship with Sheila. I guess you'd call it lesbian relationship. But Rachel had a boyfriend, and that's what I'm getting at, is that she had a proper boyfriend, Mackenzie Boggs, And he wasn't having this lesbian stuff. He's very angry that he's mentioned in the book. He distanced himself from her, when this all came to light. So, you want to look at Rachel, or you want to look at Sheila and say, wow, the lies and deceit you carried on with towards the Neeses is sickening. And how could you look them in the eye and say you don't know where Skylar is for that long? But then on the other hand, Rachel had a motive to want to keep this a secret. If Skylar had indeed filmed it and it's in evidence, I can see why Rachel would want to protect her relationship with her boyfriend, and also not let her parents find out because of the whole religious background. And eventually it made Rachel crack and confess, thanks to you guys in Morgantown, all of you locals that relentlessly taunted them on social media. That helped. The sky is gloomy. When Skylar's body was found, you guys sent that to Sheila. So I'm just putting that all out there for the Neeses to look at, to seek answers. That, in my personal opinion, Rachel Schoaf coming into the picture, shaking things up between that amazing bond that Skylar and Sheila had, and making Skylar an odd girl out. There's so many pictures we've uploaded where Skylar looks like the third wheel, and she looks sad in them, and Rachel and Sheila are all over each other. So that's our conclusion. That's NewsBall's position, that despite how Sheila acted towards the Neeses and that despicable fake act and lies and denials, I'm thinking Rachel was the one that planned it, gave Sheila the idea, pressured Sheila to go along with it. Maybe they were on drugs, and that made Sheila not think in her right mind, and or both of them in their right minds. But our family member source of Sheila Eddy's has stated that Rachel was a super weird girl, like just very strange, weird vibes from her, and that it wasn't until Rachel came into the picture that Skylar and Sheila started fighting and not getting along. Everything was fine and dandy before Rachel came along. So if only Natasha Wyrick's mother had, not Tasha's mother, but Patricia Schoaf, if only Patricia Schoaf had approved of Natasha Wyrick, maybe Rachel would have been preoccupied with Natasha and not have got all hooked up with Sheila for this to have happened. So the Dr. Phil show featuring the Skylar Neese murder story will air in March 2014, as well as the Dateline NBC special. Dave and Mary Neese filmed with both of them now. Shania Ammons has filmed with both of them. And I will be about to film with both of them, doing Dateline's clip tomorrow. Maybe they'll use 5 seconds of my interview with them and throw it into the segment. But it was interesting just to meet all of the individuals involved and people that I've been reporting on for the last year. The Neeses, Chrissy Swanson, Shania Ammons, and just these family members of the killers, Rachel and Sheila. So it was an interesting experience. It was cool to see how everything works on stage with they're playing segments and clips of Skylar or my interview, and everyone there had an interview already filmed. So while these things are playing, on what's supposed to be a commercial break, they're bringing in chairs and moving things around, it's just such business as usual, and yet for the guests on stage, this is like a heartbreaking tragedy. So that's what I wanted to get across to the Neeses. I didn't get a chance to speak. Obviously, I just had like a 1-minute roll from the front row of the audience, but in my opinion, despite Sheila lying to you guys to your face in your home in Skylar's room, pretending to be looking for her and pretending to want her home. I think Rachel shows motives to protect her lesbian relationship with Sheila a secret is more powerful and more compelling to me than how Sheila acted after the fact, because I think most people would lie and hide things that would get you in trouble, especially a teen who's knows they're going to go to jail forever. You know, what other choice did she have? Yeah, she could have confessed and begged for forgiveness, but she chose not to, so she lied and all that. But I believe it was Rachel Schoaf wanting to protect her relationship with her boyfriend and wanting to keep this away from her parents, who were strict and raised her in a religious Catholic home. She went off to church camp a day or two after Skylar was killed. So I don't know. Our source's audio says that Rachel was the sick and weird one, and blames her. It's a family member of Sheila's, and so they blame it on Rachel. And that's where NewsBall's conclusion is. So nice to meet you guys, David, Mary Neese. All right, I also wanted to add that I got interrupted in my segment with Dr. Phil, so let me address that right now. So I guess there's this lady named Kim something. She was Rachel's godmother, and Rachel ended up going out on a boat with Kim the day after the murder. So Sheila Eddy's family member was our source since last summer, and we got audio of Sheila Eddy's family member saying that they disposed of the murder weapon on a boat in Sheet Lake, etc., etc., etc. When I was trying to speak to Dr. Phil, this lady interrupts me and goes off. You know, like she's like personally offended that there's this audio, like accusing me, blaming me that for saying this. And it's like, I didn't say it, lady. This is my source saying it. We just published it. You know, and it's like, actually, maybe the authorities need to look into you, Kim. Because Kim or Kelly, both of you, whoever the hell Rachel's godmother is, maybe you had something to do with it. You know, she said on Dr. Phil how she saw Rachel texting all day on the boat, but you know, nothing else. You know, nothing suspicious. She would never have thought Rachel had just killed Skylar the day before. But you know what? The way this lady, Kim or Kelly, I don't know which one, the spiky-haired, dyke-looking chick, she was so disrespectful to me and just the whole show, trying to undermine Dr. Phil's guess. It's ridiculous. This chick was so defensive. Like, the show put up on the screens, you know, the audio, and they were talking to me just about my sources and about my theories on behalf of NewsBall, and this chick interrupts and says, you know, Rachel was with me, you know, there were no knives, and this is the first time I'm hearing of this audio. And it's like, who are you? What do you have to do with this? No one's talking to you or about you, so what the heck are you rambling on about? You know, this audio doesn't reference you, Kim or Kelly, whichever the two you are. There was another chick sitting next to her. One was Kim, one was Kelly. One had long blonde hair. You'll see it on the show. But it's like, you're not being referenced. There's more than one boat in this world, and there's more than one lake. You know, maybe Rachel went on a different lake with her mom before or after your little adventure on a boat with Rachel. It's like, it was so weird that this chick was attacking NewsBall for this Sheila Eddy's family member's audio. It was really weird. So I don't know how much of it's going to get in the final cut. The producers have said they're probably going to cut out some of that. Shania was also a disrespectful piece of... I already just went on about her, so I don't need to talk more about her. But wow, some of these people, they have no respect. They have no common courtesy. They don't realize that, talking on national TV is undermining Dr. Phil and his guests. So lady with the spiked hair in your 40s or 50s, yeah, everyone will know who I'm talking about when they see you. Talking on his show. Rachel's godmother, you're crazy and you're disrespectful, and I didn't appreciate it at all. If there's anything there to uncover about you and your past, I'm gonna find it. Because you telling me that there were no knives on your boat, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? I don't even know what the hell you were trying to say, because the audio we published wasn't me speaking, it was my sources speaking, and they didn't say Rachel's godmother at all. They simply said that the day or two after the murder, Rachel went on a boat and they disposed of the murder weapon. So, and then supposedly all the clothes were burning in a barn on Sheila Eddy's relatives' land on Eddy Run Road, which is, right there where Skylar's body was. So that's a shout out to you, spiky-haired chick, Rachel's godmother, Kim or Kelly, whatever your name is. We've done hundreds of hours of investigation, and we had no clue who you were, and you got the audacity to freaking attack me. That was crazy. Some people, it's like I'm dealing with 17-year-old Shania Ammons being a disrespectful piece of, and I'm dealing with whatever you are, Kim or Kelly, 40-year-old as well. Neither of you got manners. I guess that just happens a lot maybe in the backwoods of West Virginia, because I'm in my 20s and I have more respect than both of you combined. Oh yeah, let me add that Shania Ammons, being the little disrespectful, uncontrollable bitch that she is, interrupted me when Dr. Phil addressed me and I started speaking. She interrupted me, she cut me off, she was trying to talk shit about NewsBall.com, and that is typical Shania Ammons. Just like her Twitter, with her aggressive, vulgar, and violent tweets, talking shit about everybody, wanting to kill everybody. We've screenshotted them all throughout this Skylar Neese series. Yep. She effed up my segment. So the producers said they've obviously cut that part out. And so Shania Ammons, F you. I was actually thinking about removing the article that we did on you, showcasing all of your disgusting tweets and your sexually suggestive pictures. Because yeah, you did have a lesbian relationship with Sheila Eddy too. Deny it all you want. You loved that girl. Now you want to hate on her? You loved her even after she was arrested forever. You hated on Skylar Neese. That's what our Sheila Eddy family members said about you. That's on NewsBall. So, yeah, you got to interfere today with NewsBall segment on Dr. Phil, but now your article will remain out there forever, and so will this vlog. I was actually going to remove that article because you came off as a normal girl, just from in person. So I was going to cut you some slack and remove the article where we name you as, where we point out that you are one of the suspects. And you know what? Wheels of justice move very, very slowly. I wouldn't be surprised in a year from now that you are also arrested. You were and maybe still are a suspect. We put out all the visuals. It's all out there. There's no disputing what's out there on you. So you are a suspect, or you were a suspect, and therefore the NewsBall reporting of you was accurate, and your article will remain. Trying to discredit all of our sources that sent us invaluable information, spot-on information. They provided us the Sheila and Skylar videos that Dr. Phil and Dateline have ate up. Told us everything about Sheila's hearings before she was arraigned, the insanity plea they were going to try to do with psychiatrists, our audio of Sheila's family member last summer. Got Sheila Eddy's attorney so pissed that he called in Tara Eddy into the office, that's Sheila's mom, and said, who is feeding NewsBall all this information? Chrissy Swanson got so much shit for it from Sheila's mom. Alexis Eddy got so much shit from it from Sheila's mom. Everyone was trying to find out who was feeding NewsBall all this information. Sheila's cousins were getting anonymous tweets saying, Cole's being traced and wiretapped, and he's interfering with investigations. How is he getting all this info? So yeah, Shania Ammons, what we put out there is fact. When we got a lead that you had been arrested, that same source had said legitimate, reliable information and provided us a lot of visuals and content that no one else has. So we published that article. But after it was realized that you were still free as a bird, we deleted that article. So what turns out not to be factual, we delete. Shania Ammons and any other critic out there. So if you see it on newsball.com, it is a fact. Because we will correct and fix what isn't. And we deleted your article when we said you had been arrested. So there you go, Shania Ammons. Thanks to your outburst today, your articles will remain, and now you've been mentioned in this vlog, and we'll see what else we can do on you. We'll keep our eyes on you until the authorities possibly still arrest you, huh? Because if you were a suspect last year with them, they're still probably getting the rest of the players in this case. You were the only other person in this group. There's hundreds of pictures. You, Sheila, Rachel, Skylar. Pictures of 3 of you, pictures of 2 of you, pictures of 4 of you. Every mix and match possible. It's you 4. The 4 of you. And you're gonna tell the world that you had absolutely no knowledge of anything before or after. No post confession from them. BS. You knew something. But yeah, it was definitely a cool experience with the Dr. Phil show and the whole production, and how it's like just business as usual for all these workers on stage that are like moving chairs around and everything in between commercial breaks. But yeah, Dateline NBC is also doing their special on this Skylar Neese story. The Neeses have already filmed and interviewed with that. Shania Ammons has done that, because as my Sheila Eddy family sources have said on our audios that we've published, Shania Ammons is an attention whore. Shania Ammons will talk shit about whoever is not there and then be friends with them when she's hanging out with them. So we saw some of that today from Shania. I want to address how NewsBall.com witnessed this very cool thing with volunteers and help after we published our initial article on the Skylar Neese murder story. This was something we were supposed to get to talk about on the Dr. Phil show today, but our segment was cut a little short, and I don't think everything I said was going to get in the final cut, so I'm vlogging this. But yeah, after we published that initial article, we just had sources coming from left and right. Both killers' camps, friends of them both, anonymous sources providing us tips, leads, advice, and content. That's how we ended up with an entire series on this story. So, these production companies, CBS and NBC, they've borrowed our video footage that we have of Skylar and Sheila together. They've borrowed our audio of Sheila's family source speaking to us since last summer. So it's an amazing thing that happens when you put out the first thing of a story, and then you just get tremendous help. So I thank you, Morgantown, for helping keep putting the articles out there. And we've now experienced a lot of other emails and texts and letters in the mail from people desperately seeking answers to solve their loved ones' cases. Victims, family members, and friends are reaching out to NewsBall and asking if we could possibly look into this cold case. And or this story, which has never received any attention whatsoever. So we've got a long list in queue, and we're gonna dive into the next one. I think we'll put a section on NewsBall where we're gonna make that public, so maybe a reader recognizes a name and remembers something from what happened and can send us an anonymous tip or speak on the record. It could end up being the next story, because that's what we did here. A year ago, Rachel Schoaf had confessed to killing Skylar Neese, and we got a tip about the story. And we said, what? They killed her because they didn't want to be friends with her? That's what the locals were saying. No way, this is ridiculous. So, besides the Topics message forum, there was no one reporting on anything besides a missing teen, Skylar Neese. So we got involved, put all the visuals together, exposed the killers' names, and then from there, just got flooded with help from volunteers wanting to offer everything they had, every piece of knowledge they had, and every visual picture and video that they had. So that's what we're going to do on the next story. And it was an honor to meet Dave and Mary Neese today. I'm very sorry for your loss. And I was supposed to be asked, why was I outraged? Everyone was outraged for the same reason. Skylar Neese was a beautiful 16-year-old, and these two supposed best friends just betrayed her. And then the lies they carried on with, and it's just disgusting. And the fact that they roamed free for 5 months afterwards, shocking. So This is the reasons why, when we realized they were free and all of Morgantown is relentlessly taunting them, and they're out in public and going to the prom and going all around town. That's why we had to get involved. Truly the only motive. We got critics saying, we can't say killer when they weren't convicted yet. Well, we haven't been wrong yet, so we are not going to use the word alleged when we've done hundreds of hours of investigations and there's only one right answer, and that was Sheila Eddy and Rachel Schroff in this case. All right, it's been like 2 hours of driving through traffic in Los Angeles, getting out of there. It's a fun experience getting to film with the Dr. Phil show on the Skylar Neese murder story. A year ago, when we started getting our criticism for trying to pursue a lesbian motive and trying to pursue interviews with minors, you could almost discredit NewsBall. But now, here we are today, and the Dr. Phil show went into the lesbian motive, into the sex tape, in evidence, and we can officially tell our critics and haters of NewsBall.com, you're welcome. You look like an idiot. We'll keep it at that. We'll take the high road. No need to cuss or curse or go crazy like our next subject did. His name's Scott Benzel. He lives in Missouri, and he is the perfect example of what an internet troll is and does and looks like too. So we will be publishing that article, Scott, in the face of his death threat-laced, intimidation-filled email to me. NewsBall will still be exposing you with your pictures. Oh, yellow. Oh, red light. Oh, well. Oh. And your screenshots of all of your repulsive, vulgar, disgusting actions that you do in your spare time. "40-year-old law student by day and 40-year-old horrible internet troll coward that hides behind an alias by night." So that's next. And then there will be an Audrey Pott explosive story where she killed herself because 3 high school football players gang raped her and then took pictures and spread it. She killed herself days later. And these 3 high school football players are on juvenile detention right now, house arrest, and they won't get anything else. Their names will never be released if not for NewsBall about to publish it all, because these are 3 high-powered daddies. One of the daddies has a link to the late painter Thomas Kincaid. So the Audrey Pott murder story is going to be more explosive than what we did with the Skylar Neese murder story, because the bombshells we're dropping on the Audrey Pott case coming up, it has to do with very rich and powerful, 3 powerful, super powerful families up in Saratoga, California, which is the wealthiest city in the state. So stay tuned for that story. It's shocking. It's actually a whole other layer with one of these 3 football players, even beyond what you know about him anonymously. You know that these 3 football players took the pictures of Audrey Pott and she ended up killing herself. Well, one of them was actually involved in it. He was like the leader of this like fan club, this like high school boy fan club where they were circulating naked pictures of other victims like Audrey Pott from the high school. So he was victimizing more than just Audrey Pott, for which he is on home confinement for. There's more victims. That's the cherry on top with it all. And yet no one knows about the more victims, and he's just gonna have his whole record sealed away when he's 18. So shit like this, when the mass media is never going to pick up on the story, you know, society needs to know who these guys are, any case that involves an underage killer that can seal their juvie record. Well, society should know that they're still killers even when they're 25, 30, 35, and then they're free. So that's the next story, the Audrey Pott murder story. And we're gonna use Scott Benzel as our subject, as our example. In if you want to be an internet troll and try to mess with NewsBall.com and or myself, you're gonna pay the price to the civil extent, to the legal and civil extent of the law. I'm gonna get a restraining order on this guy. Maybe I'll sue him for defamation of character. But in the very least, about to expose away. And that's the beauty of it. When you mess with Cold Bartiromo or NewsBall, that's what will happen to you. And this is a perfect example. Don't think you're ever protected, because I have OCD, and I will spend countless hours dropping everything else until I find out your identity if you're going to be an internet troll. And you'll learn from Scott Benzel, because you cannot threaten or intimidate me to back down by bringing up family members, or them losing their jobs, or even threatening to kill them. It won't work on me, period. I have to draw the line somewhere. So there is absolutely no weakness here. You can do whatever you're going to do. You can show up, and when you give my dad his third and final heart attack, very, very fragile heart right now. When you give him that heart attack because you showed up and you fucking did whatever you're gonna do by showing up, yeah, we'll make sure to get murder charges pressed on you. All right, internet troll. So do whatever you want to do. NewsBall out.